Learning never ends.
You continue to grow.
Edge Studio has grown. Pursue multiple disciplines in tandem and grow your career. We've added new courses in a new curriculum.
We picked the best coaches from the community of working voice actors.
A new technology division, engineering and consulting, led by George Whittam.
Follow your dream.
Sign up for advanced learning or register for an Introduction to Voice Acting or Foundation Studies program
See it all now.
at thenewedgestudio.com.
So welcome. How many of you have heard of wining and dining a client? Outside of the voiceover industry? Yeah, almost everyone, maybe everyone. What about inside the voiceover industry? Do I see one? Pam? 2, 3? Okay, not too many. It's very surprising because wining and dining a client can really help you grab a client. Does that make sense? So why more voice actors don't do it just doesn't make sense to me. It makes no logical sense. But here's... Not the way we're going to talk about it. They're clapping for you next door, that's what that is. Okay. No, so more to that in a few minutes, okay? I know that wining and dining a client can really help you grab a client, which is great, which is really, really great. But the thing is, wining and dining a client is just one component of, it should be one component of your marketing plan. There's another component of your marketing plan, which I call shining, that I think should precede wining and dining. So here comes the goofy phrase, and only one goofy phrase tonight. Shine, then wine and dine. It's goofy, but hopefully you remember this thing. Shine, and then wine and dine. When I say shine, what I mean is that from the perspective of the client, you need to shine in their eyes. Does that make sense? When you shine in their eyes, and then you wine and dine them, you can grab a long-term, repeat, fantastic, paying client of your choice. You can pretty much walk down the street and say, you know what? I wish that company was my client, and you can make that happen. It won't happen 100% of the time, but it can happen perhaps 75% of the time. You guys with me so far? So what I want to talk about tonight are, I think it's 13 steps, 12 or 13 steps that I have on my notes, which we'll get to in a few minutes, which will walk you through how to grab a long-term client of your choice. Okay, ready? Okay. So last night as I was falling asleep, the good news is I came up with a new way to teach this class, a new way to communicate the information. All of my notes I resequenced. What that also means is that I need to read off of my notes to some degree so I don't forget anything. I think it's a more logical way of talking about what I want to talk about with you. And some of you have seen me speak perhaps before. I usually don't like to hold notes in my hand, but I will sort of need this as a reference at some point. I'm sure I will. Anyway, we're going to talk about these 12 or 13 points so you can grab the long-term client of your choice. Number one, you have to be in the right mindset. You have to have the right mindset. What I have seen from all of my years of working with so many voice actors is that they have what I consider the wrong mindset. Voice actors go after new clients with the mindset of, I need to show them how awesome I am. I need to get work from this client. I want this client to hire me. I want to win the job. I want to get booked. That is not the right mindset. In my belief, the mindset should be building a relationship with this prospective client and maintaining that relationship. I want to repeat that. Build a relationship with them and maintain that relationship. So I want to talk a bit further about what that really means. To build a relationship with a prospective client, you need to convey two things. You need to convey how you can help them. Secondly, you need to somehow indicate how they can trust you. Okay, we will talk about this in detail later. But right now, as a recap, you need to make sure that the prospective client knows how you can help them and why they can trust you. Further, as their business evolves, you need to make sure that you evolve along with the client. That is, if you want to maintain them as a client. Make sense? Companies always evolve. So if you're providing a very important service to the client, you have to evolve along with them, which means as they evolve, you need to continue to show them how you can help them and why they can trust you. The mindset is critical. Excuse me while I flip my page here to remind myself what number 2 is. Oh yes, and one more thing on number 1. Oh, I feel so bad having to read from notes, but one more thing about step 1, having the right mindset. Everything you do, everything you communicate to the client, every email you send, every phone call you have, before you communicate with them, ask yourself, what I'm about to say, is that showing them how I can help them or showing trust? If it's not, don't communicate those words. The client really doesn't care about you so much. You know what? Everyone looks out for themselves. It's not that the client's a bad person, but they have a job they need filled. They care about getting their job done. That's what they want at the end of the day. You need to make sure that you show them how you help them and why they can trust you. So always make sure that every bit of communication you have is focusing on that. Step 2, pinpoint an appropriate client. So, as I said a few minutes ago, you could walk down the street and see a company and say, man, I would like them to be my client. But in reality, that's not always the case. It can't always come true unless it's an appropriate client for you. So what I mean by that is that there are 2 things you need to fulfill. 1, you need to make sure that you have the right voice type that they need. In other words, you can offer the voice over that they want, that they need. Number 2, you need to find some value-added services that you can provide. I have a list of these, so let's talk about this list. Number 1, can you satisfy the voice type that they need? Do you match, as a voice actor, do you match the type of voiceover that they need recorded? Do you specialize in the genre that they record? Do you focus on the style that they need? Can you focus on the technical standards that they may need? Second thing, can you offer the client value-added services? Any value-added services that would distinguish you apart from other voice actors, such as your experience with their subject matter, or your experience with their industry jargon. Maybe you have an accent or you speak a language that is helpful for them. Maybe you have the availability that they need to be able to work with them. Maybe you have a black book of contacts that are helpful to them. Maybe you have friends who are other voice actors with different types of voices. Maybe you're familiar with translation services, sound designers, editors, mixers, engineers, copywriters. Any of these things that you can pull out further help you establish that this is the right client for you. So let me repeat. You have the right mindset. You go into this approach saying, okay, I want to earn this client. I want them to become my client. Well, let me show you that I can help them. Let me show them that they can trust me. I have the right voice type that they need. I can offer some value-added services. Well, now you're on a roll. Step 3. In your homework, step 3 is to learn a lot about the prospect. Do your research. It is so critical to do research. I can't even emphasize it strongly enough how important it is. You can learn so much just by reading press releases on the company. How many of you have actually looked at a company's press release prior to recording their audition? No. Probably about 10 of you, which is great. You learn a lot. When you look at the company's press releases, you see what the company is touting. Why are they excited about new products and services that they have coming out? And you know where their business is going, which further helps you figure out how you can help the client. Look at their old commercials on YouTube. See what they've done. Where have they been? Read their website. Look at their marketing pros. What demographic are they going after? Read up and down, read their website. All in all, learn as much as you can about the prospect. Number 4, create a customized demo. This is not unlike an advertising agency putting together a pitch for a new client. You know what I mean by that? So you have to record a customized demo for this client. It shouldn't take you more than an hour or so, okay? So you go onto the company's website, you find some pros, and you record that as a voiceover. You call their telephony system, their 800 number. You transcribe 15 or 20 seconds of their phone system, and you record that. You find a podcast that the company's put out. You transcribe 10, 15 seconds of that, and you record it. Get a sample of one of their training videos, which very often you can find online, or a welcome to our company video, which you can find online. Or if you can't, go to LinkedIn and get connected with some of their employees, even past or present employees, and say, hey, I'm putting together something specific for the company. Can you send me some of their material? The point here is you put together a customized demo just for them. When the client hears this, when they will hear this, they will be shocked, because so few voice actors ever do this. Okay, some examples. I worked recently with a golfer who's getting into voiceover, and he loved a certain company that makes golf clubs. So we did exactly this, and he ended up becoming the voice for the golfing company. I worked recently with a woman who wanted to become the voice of a major vodka brand. I don't know what her desire was about this vodka brand. She must drink it a lot and enjoy it. But we did exactly this. We found a couple seconds of a podcast and a commercial and a training video and so on. We found a PR piece that they had done online at some point. Anyway, we recorded probably a 30 or 40 second long demo. And she used that to get into the company. Company heard it. Of course, they hired her. She really stood out. She had done her homework. This is a quick way to get into a client's heart. Number 5. Determine what you call yourself. Don't use the word voice actor unless it's appropriate, and most of the time it's not appropriate. So if you want to become, if you want to focus on a corporation, rather than call yourself a voice actor, I would call yourself a corporate narrator. You may even have the same demo, but just changing the name from voice actor to corporate narrator sounds a lot nicer. And as I said earlier, everything you do, you have to ask yourself, well, what I'm about to do, will that show the company how I can help them, or that they can trust me? So when you're about to contact the HR department at the company and send your tailored demo, say to yourself, well, if I call myself a voice actor, does that show that I can help them? Not at all, because someone in an HR department is probably thinking that a voice actor is all about commercial work. Does that make sense? Yeah. So just changing it to commercial narrator, well, that helps them now, because they do have welcome to our company videos to produce, and training videos and compliance videos. Your title suggests a lot. I'm working with 2 new women, both somewhat new to the voiceover industry right now. I'll tell you about. One is a sustainability expert. She runs a podcast on sustainability, and her podcast is doing super well. And she wants to get more into voiceover. So we're calling her a sustainability narrator and speaker. And she's reached out to a couple of clients now with a tailored demo and has gotten work from them so easily. And what's nice is that these clients now think of her as the subject matter expert. She does more than anyone else in this room does because she understands their industry. She specializes in it. Just by using those words, sustainability, narrator, and speaker, she's in the door. The other woman I wanted to talk about, she's a compliance consultant. Yeah, well, people have to do everything, right? So she has about 2 or 3 different companies that she will be reaching out to, and we're just beginning to put together these tailored demos. And with her contacts, with the value-added services she can provide, she can show the company that she is the right person for them to hire. And to cinch the deal, she will have a tailored demo, and I guarantee she will get work. Repeat client, repeat work from an ongoing client. I said earlier, you need to maintain that relationship. So remember to maintain the relationship, okay? Never become complacent. A short sidetrack here, but if you become complacent, you will lose your clients. You really will lose your clients, okay? More on that if people have questions later. Number 7, prepare tailored marketing materials. How much does What's really funny is that it is number 6 is prepare tailored marketing materials. It's prepare tailored marketing materials. It's funny that I can't even read my own notes. I'm embarrassed having to read from my notes because I changed my entire presentation this morning, yet I can't even read them. Number 5 was determining your title. Number 6 is preparing tailored marketing materials. Did I miss one? I'm good? Okay. Okay. Me and math, not so much. How much does it cost for 1,000 business cards? Cheap. It's really cheap. If you want to go after 2 different clients in 2 different markets, then get different business cards for each. And if you're only going after 1 client in 1 market, still get specific business cards for them because it is so inexpensive. Isn't that a nicer word to use, inexpensive rather than cheap? Get a business card that says sustainability narrator and speaker. Add the word experience to it. That sounds nice. Experienced sustainability narrator and speaker. Whatever it is that you're focusing on, say to yourself, what words on my business card will instill trust to the client? What words will make them say, oh, this is the person that we should consider? Now, number 7, prepare to begin a relationship with them. We're not at the point of actually speaking with a client. We're still preparing. Your job is to come up with a 1 short sentence summary of what you're looking for, essentially. In 1 sentence, how you can help them and that you'd like to get together with them and toss around some ideas. I'll repeat that. In a very short sentence, let them know what it is that you can do for them and that you'd love the opportunity to sit down with them and explore some ideas. Remember, this is not about winning a client. This is about building a relationship with them. Yes?
So how do you get past the gatekeeper to do that?
I missed 6.5 in my notes. LinkedIn, find a connection. Yeah, we're going to get to that soon. Yeah, I'm not sure if everyone heard the question. How do you get past the gatekeeper? Yes. To get to the person you guys could hear? Okay. So, yeah, we'll get to that. When you prepare your opening speech, whether it be by phone call or email, some other things to consider. After your mission statement, prepare some thoughts as to what it is that you can specifically offer the client. How can you enhance their sound quality? In other words, why are you the better choice voice actor perhaps than someone else? Prepare yourself for this question. How to discuss a workflow that may make their lives easier. Sure. So the whole idea here is to prepare for a relationship with them, right? I'm going way back here. So you write this opening sentence, and then you think about some ways that you can help them. How can you enhance their sound quality? How can you help their workflow? Right? It's about making their lives easier. Maybe you can mention a way that you can improve their bottom line. Everyone wants to improve their bottom line. Be prepared to talk about customers that you've done this for already. It doesn't have to be in their specific industry, but other companies that trust you. Prepare yourself to discuss rates with the client. Rates is always a hot topic, right? At some point, inevitably, the question will come up, what do you charge? You know, great, you can help us and we can trust you, but can we afford you? Be prepared to discuss your rates. And with respect to rates, be organized. Know your rates. Know what a volume discount looks like. When is there, how much work do you need to get to offer a volume discount? What is your time frame for payment? What do you accept? What are your terms? 30 days, 60, 90 days? If you know a company is a startup company, do you give them a longer, longer term so they have more time to pay you off? I mean, think about these things before going into your relationship with them. And when you just, really important, when you discuss rates, speak comfortably about them. I like to get sidetracked for a second time here. When we hire voice actors at Edge Studio, especially voice actors who are new to the industry, well, I should say when we call voice actors to hire them, we can so quickly tell that someone is new because when we ask the question, what do you charge, we don't get a straight answer. We get a nervous, I can't think of the right word, just an ongoing, it's funny, I can't think of the right word, it's taking me so long to think of it. We get an ongoing like blah, blah, blah that's meaningless. I mean, we get a long, meaningless conversation with tension in their voice. We say, what do you charge? And someone says, oh, well, you know, it depends. Well, I mean, if you're gonna, well, like if there's a lot of work, I mean, I guess I could do it for the, well, I mean, is there a rate? I mean, be prepared to just say, great, this is what I charge. If you give me over X hours of work or X minutes of work, the rate drops to this. When it's a startup company, there's an automatic 20% discount or terms are extended from 30 days to 120 days. Just be comfortable talking about these things and know about them.
How would you feel about somebody saying, what is your budget for this project? In answer to that.
You know, I think the question is it okay to say, what is your budget for this project? I think occasionally that might be the right approach, but I think most of the time for you to look really professional. Sorry, let me step back and say this differently. I've said 3 times, and intentionally 3 times, to drill it into everyone's head that you need to make sure that they can trust, to show that they can trust you, right? So one of the ways that you can help them gain trust in you is for you to make sure that you appear as if you've done this a million times. Maybe it's your first job. Maybe it is your 1 millionth job, I don't know, right? But especially if it's your first job or one of your first jobs, you still want to make it appear as if you've done a lot of this work. And having set rates will clarify that this is something you do on a regular basis. Does that make sense? I think to go in and say, this is what it costs. This is what I charge. This is what clients pay me. It makes you look professional and experienced. And that trust is needed. So in most situations, have a price. But like I said, when you do your research, if you find out that the company is a startup, to be able to say to them, you know, usually I have 30-day terms, but because you're a startup and what I've read online about you looks so exciting, I like to drop, you know, for companies like yours, I drop it to 128 days for payment terms and just to work with them. Anyway, if a company says to you, great, we're very interested, would you do a trial job, one freebie? How many of you have had this happen, by the way? Just a few, like 5 or 10 of you. Yeah, I think that is not usually the best thing to do. I don't think there's a need to give away your services for free. I think there's nothing wrong with saying, you know what, send me a sample of a script, and I'll be happy to record it so you can hear what I sound like, but don't do the whole job for free. I think it just devalues you, okay? Anyway, next thing and final thing to prepare, a list of smart questions to ask the prospective client. Come up with a solid list of good questions. Questions that will make the client think, okay, wow, you've done voiceover before, you know the right questions to ask, and I can trust you. An analogy I have used many times in past, and here it is again. You have to hire a painter to paint your room in your home. And you want to interview 2 different painters. So painter 1 comes in to your home to give you an estimate. They look around and they say, okay, the room will cost $100 to paint. And you say, cool, thanks, I'll be in touch. An hour later, painter 2 comes by to give you an estimate. and says, they look around and they say, great, thanks for calling me in. I have a couple of questions. I noticed that the sheetrock is different on one wall, just slightly different. Would you like me to paint that with a different type of paint that won't fade as quickly? And I also noticed that you have molding around the perimeter of the room. Would you like the molding painted white or the same color as the walls? And there's also, anyway, and they go through like 5 or 6 or 7 different questions. Then they say it will cost $150 to paint the room. Would you rather go with a painter who charges $100 yet asks no questions? Or with a painter who charges $150 and asks all the smart questions? Who would you feel more comfortable with? Interestingly, you can charge more money by asking questions. Isn't that nice? So come up with a list of questions to ask the client. Do your research. Okay? I want to recap this. This is step 7. You prepare to begin your relationship with them. You write your mission statement. You prepare yourself, you prepare some ideas, some ways that you can help them, and you prepare some questions to ask the client. Okay, so I see that the list is now up on the wall, which is great. But interestingly, it stops at number 7. I don't know if you guys have the rest of the page. Whew, nice. I might not need my notes now. Practice. Before you call the client, practice. Practice with a friend who will be candid with you, not your mom, because she'll like everything you do. Have a friend who's going to drill you. Have a friend who will put you through, who will make your life miserable for a 5-minute phone call. And do your thing. Tell your friend to treat you like you're calling, like a cold call, and ask smart questions back at you. Have your friend prepared to say, well, why should we hire you as a voice actor? We hire another voice actor already. What can you do better? Why should we even consider you? Practice makes perfect. Every time you do this exercise, you will get better and better. I promise you that. Practice with different friends, because different friends will ask different questions. Okay? Get feedback from your friends. That feedback goes a long way. Number 9, finally, begin the relationship with the client. Steps 1 through 8 in total might take you 3, 4, 5 hours. Do you think that is too much time to invest for an ongoing client? I don't think so. No. If you find a client who's right for you, and you think that they can bring you ongoing work, 5 or 6 hours invested is nothing. It's well worth it. Oh, the outline's gone. Oh, it's back. I'm just going to keep holding my notes. So you begin a relationship. Make the cold call. Okay. Now, with respect to your question earlier, ma'am, I don't know your name, sorry, about how do you get through the gatekeeper? It's not always easy, but make it happen. Once again, do some research. The best way to get through someone, though, is to have someone else's name. What I mean by that is if you have to get to Mary at a company, well, when you call the receptionist, maybe John, the receptionist, picks up. Ask John for the name or the phone number of Mary, or the extension for Mary. And then even if you have to leave a voicemail for Mary, you say, well, John suggested that I contact you. When you say something like John suggested that, you get through. Does that make sense? Maybe you send an email. Hi, Mary, and you have your mission statement. John suggested that I speak with you. Use a name whenever possible, a recognizable name to the person that you're trying to get to. But face it, you can't always get to the gatekeeper. But if you do it right, very often you can. For the times that you can't, send an email. Emails work, okay? Good a catchy subject line, short email. Have people review your email, by the way. Would you ever send a resume to someone without having someone else proofread it? And likewise, I don't think you should ever send a good audition to a client without having someone proof listen to it. Because I know from experience, 25% of auditions we get have like egregious mistakes in them. We say to the voice actor, slate, and they don't slate. We say don't slate, and they slate. They miss a line of the script, they change words. Have someone proof listen. Anyway, here, if you send an email, Have someone review your email, okay? So you contact the client. Then it is time to wine and dine the client. I opened this little speech by talking about wining and dining clients. And I said that that is just one component of the bigger plan. So up until this point, if you've done your homework and you put together this tailored demo and you send it to the client with this clear mission statement about helping them and how you can do it, and you are prepared with all of your notes, you should be in. They should have some interest in you. Now you take them out to lunch. Going back to the letter that you write to them, you have to say this catchphrase. You ready? You talk about helping. You talk about tossing around some ideas to help them and to explore ways to work together. And then you say, let's grab a bite, my treat, and explore. I think the words my treat in there are very important. Studies prove that people love free lunch. So a little note, some research I did on this. I did some research actually. And if you ever try to get in touch with someone and they will not take your phone call, and it's annoying as anything, you leave a voice message. A week later you leave another voice message, and on and on. If at some point you say, let's grab a bite, my treat, there's a greater chance that they will be responsive to you. People like free food. Okay, so go with it. So once again, let's go out to lunch, grab a bite, parenthetically, my treat, and discuss. I think the my treat should be sort of a secondary comment. Like I said, parenthetically, you put it in there. Don't make it shine. Don't say, I will take you out to lunch and wine and dine you. No, not at all. Don't make it a big thing. So come time to wine and dine them. Begin the conversation by chit-chatting. Talk about whatever, BS. Don't jump right into work. Don't take out your business card. Don't take out your demo. Don't take out your notepad, your paper. Just randomly talk about anything. It's very helpful if you've done your research and you know what this prospective client likes. If they are into skating or basketball or sushi or whatever it might be, try to find a restaurant that suits them. Try to find something to talk about that interests them. Okay? Do some homework. At some point in the conversation, though, segue into work. And when you segue into work, make sure you then take out pen and paper and be prepared to write down notes. Be prepared to ask those smart questions that you prepared. Be prepared and practiced, really rehearsed, to answer the questions on what you charge and why you are better and what you can provide to them. Be prepared with your networking list of the value-added services that you can provide. Translators, oh yeah, you do need extra voice actors. Well, great, I work with a group of about 5, and together we've covered 3 different languages, 2 genders, and 4 different age groups, whatever it is. Be prepared with this stuff. The more you know and the more comfortable you are speaking about it, the more they trust you. Make sense? Have your demo on a thumb drive and on a CD, should they ask for it. I know CDs sound a little outdated, but you never know. Have your a laptop with you or a tablet. I would have it open to your website in case they want to see your website. Make sure your speakers are on, so if they want to hear your demo live, you can play it for them right then. All of these things, just be prepared. Follow up. The day after you meet with this person, follow up and say, glad we had time to explore some ideas. And here's what I've come up with. And present to them a plan of going forward. Look at that plan very, very carefully and make sure it satisfies the 2 things, which now will be the 5th time I'm saying it. Make sure it satisfies how you can help them, in other words, how you can make their life easier, and why they can trust you. Okay, so glad we got together, glad we had some time to kick around some ideas. Here's some ideas that I've come up with. I think they will really help your business. They will help your bottom line because of this. They will help your rates because of that. They will help this, they will help that. And list them out. I think it's also really nice to end that letter on a little fun note. mention something funny that came up from your conversation, whether maybe it wasn't really funny when the table next to us, spilled ketchup all over themselves or whatever, just something a little memorable. Now, when you take someone out to lunch, they feel a little in debt to you. Does that make sense? You take someone out to lunch, they feel like they owe you one back. You've taken time, you've spent money on them. So through this whole step, this 12-step process, or 11 steps, 11 steps so far. Told you, me and math, numbers, not so good. Through this whole process, you're winning them over in so many different ways. By being prepared, by doing research, by helping them. It's all about them. It's about building this relationship. When you do this, I really believe that you can walk down the street and say, I'd like that company to become my client, and you can make that happen if you are the right voice match for them. I've helped so many voice actors do this over the years, and they've done it very successfully and been very pleased with the results because they end up with ongoing clients, long-term repeat business that pays nicely. Last thing, stay in touch. For any reason, if the client doesn't follow up with you after your next day email, I'd follow up again 3-4 days later. Send the same email again, just write, thanks again, just wanted to make sure you saw my email from 2 days ago. If they still don't follow up, I would place a phone call to them. Say, we had a great conversation, and be open with them. We had a great conversation. I've come up with some ways that can, I believe, really help your company, help you, help your company. Let me know the best way to get in touch with you so we can discuss them. Be that clear with them. If someone is so busy that they don't have time to respond, don't send them a long email. That's not going to work for you. Very short, and be that frank with them. Warm but frank. Any questions?
I have a question. Having difficulty trying to frame it right, but when you mentioned that it really has to be about helping them, and that's a very generous thing, and I've been hearing that pretty consistently in the voiceover realm, that it really needs to be less about me, but about what can I do for you. However, as I'm kind of listening to this and working on it in my head, I feel a little bit phony because I don't know if I have anything genuinely to give them other than I want to do the work for you. So can you help us kind of break through that so we don't feel, kind of artificial?
Sure. Could you all hear the question? Okay. Here's what I'd say to that. An example. I was teaching a class probably 2 years ago, a very small class, maybe 20 or 30 people. And there was a woman in the class who was extremely religious. Every other word from her mouth was about religion and the church, which is fine. So at some point I said, why don't you specialize in religious-based voiceover? And her comment was, what do you mean religious-based voiceover? So I said, I can think of 10, maybe even 15 or 20 places where there's an intersection between religion and voiceover off the top of my head. But as a class, as a group exercise, let's do that. And I said to the class, call out some places where there is that intersection. We came up with this list of 20 or 30 different places where religion and voiceover intersect. And she put together a religious-based voiceover demo and now has a lot of work. Think about this. Where is religion? Where do religion and voiceover cross? Podcasts. How many religious-based podcasts are there out there? Lots. Religious-based education. Religious education is huge in this world, right? How many documentaries are recorded given the subject matter of religion? How many audiobooks recorded around religion? Psalm of the Day, Bible on CD, Christian rock stations, Christian TV stations, churches. How many of you have seen these mega churches with mega studios in them? Have any of you seen the studios inside churches? Oh, I wasn't sure if that was my 5-minute time limit. Okay. Okay. They look kind of the same, but so anyway, she put together this demo, a tailored demo. In this case, it was not tailored after one specific client. It was tailored after a subject matter, an area, in the world, in a popular area. And she marketed that, but going through the same step process, which I helped her with, and she's just full of work now. So you have to think about what is interesting to you. What do you like talking about? Music? Sports? Religion? There's a lot of work out there. You can use these 12 steps to pinpoint one specific company or just a whole industry. And then you call yourself a religious-based voice actor or whatever is appropriate. Other questions? Spiritual advisor? Yes.
So when you contact, if it's a big company, say if it's like Kroger or something, are you suggesting they contact their marketing department, their advertising agency?
It depends on what kind of work you want.
If it were Kroger?
It depends on what kind of work you want.
Okay, I want to do their radio or television.
If you want to record commercials for Kroger, then I would contact their ad agency and their marketing department, not their HR department.
Right, but you're not saying go, I mean, if they have an ad agency, you would go to them first.
No, I would go to Kroger first. Honestly, I would go to Kroger and to their ad agency. And you can very easily find out who their ad agency is, right? It doesn't take much research at all. So you find 3 or 4 commercials that Kroger has done over the years. You also search their press releases and you find out that Kroger has, and I don't know a thing about Kroger, but you find out that historically they've been targeting middle income, I'm sorry, is Kroger food? It's a grocery store? Okay, I thought so. So they target, maybe it's a middle level grocery store, but press releases show that now they want to move more towards the organic side of things, or whatever the press releases show, or they want to go stray away from Whole Foods and go non-organic to offer something different to compete with Whole Foods. Whatever their direction, find out what their direction is and make sure that on your little sample tailored demo you include something that's going in that direction. Write some copy yourself, you know. Say, you know, here's a quick lapse of Kroger commercials from past through present. And you have, you know, you transcribe one of their first commercials, which you can find on YouTube, and then you write something that's where they will be going. Take some verbiage from their press release. I mean, that stuff is simple to do, but it speaks volumes to the company. It shows that you're doing you're doing your research. You're putting time into this thing. Yeah, of course. What type of thing goes on a business card?
You're going to create a business card for marketing materials. What type of things go on there?
Whatever will most speak to them. So if you want to go after Kroger advertising account, after the Kroger advertising account, I would not say corporate narrator. You know, say commercial voice actor.
So what you're describing is my business card to show them that I have experience with what I'm trying to convince them that they need to hire me for.
Exactly. That is the only purpose of a business card. It's not for you. Hopefully you know your name. Yes.
They wrote it
It's,
down.
it's not a personal ID card. It's a business card for them. Right. Yeah. So every word that you write is to help them. What will help them understand that they should hire you? How can you help them? How can they trust you? So you're a grocery now, you know, an expert grocery. I can't think of the right verbiage here. A commercial voice actor, you know, or even just a commercial voice actor specializing in grocery stores or something like that, and learn that market. Learn what the trends have been. Do your research. Trends are going organic food, and have something that shows organic. But like I said earlier, just show them that you're the person for the job. I bet in 3 months, get back to me in 3 months. If you go after Kroger's, you can do it. Is it Kroger or Kroger's?
Only one.
Singular. Okay. You can make it happen. 3 months. That's your homework. Questions? Yes.
How do you handle it when you don't have an experience? How could you maybe approach a client and get why?
Well, when you say when you don't have experience, do you mean no experience in voiceover at all?
Right, if you haven't never looked and you're just starting.
Then you need to start at level 1, which is just figuring out where you belong in the industry. So let me explain this very briefly. There are 27 genres of voiceover. The way you can, I mean, depending on how you classify them, 27 different genres or opportunities, we could say, from animation to audiobook, commercial, audio tours, what else? Documentary, e-learning, corporate work, and so on. So 27 different genres. And years ago, voice actors tended to be a jack of all trades, and that just doesn't cut it today. This industry is way too big to be a jack of all trades. You can't be everything to everyone. So I really believe that I know voice actors are more successful when they specialize in a genre or they specialize in the subject matter, like religious-based voiceover. There's a guy I know out in Long Island, New York, who specializes in automobiles. His passion is muscle cars. He loves muscle cars. He has this nifty old Corvette he's souped up. I'm not into cars, but I always see pictures of his car. And every time I see it, the engine is popping more and more out of the hood. I mean, it's a cool looking car, right? And he got into automobile voiceover. He specializes in automobile-based voiceover. He's recorded training videos for automobile manufacturing plants. He's recorded kiosks for car dealerships. He did the walking tour of an automobile museum, car commercials, and so on. And what's very funny is his tagline had been, "If it's on four wheels, I narrate it." And then he ended up doing a documentary on motorcycles. And we joked, and he changed it to "If it's on wheels." His tagline changed to "If it's on wheels, I narrate it," which led him to a documentary on a submarine. So now we joked about, well, if it moves, you know. But the thing is, you grow, you let your business grow. But when you begin, don't be everything to everyone. I've given classes on those words. You can't be everything to everyone. Don't try to do it. Don't be the jack of all trades. When people are new to this industry, they are so compelled to show A to Z on their demo. I have to have variety. I need variety. Variety used to work. Before we could email a script out to anyone in the world who has the right voice, now variety doesn't typically work for you. If you have a lot to offer, then you have separate demos. Make sense? Okay.
If I'm approaching a client, like you said, if I see a client and I want to court this client, then I don't have an experience in doing the voiceover. That's I'm trying to frame this.
If you don't have any experience,
I don't have any experience to tell them, clients to refer them to. I'm just new at this, and what would I have to offer them? Is, I guess, what I'm asking. I mean, how could you frame that?
I still believe that you first need to get trained, learn the foundation, because if you follow these steps, the one thing that you can't get through, I think, was step 4 about creating a tailored demo. If you don't have training behind you, I don't think your tailored demo for a prospective client would sound very marketable. So you would get all the way up there and meet them, and then they would hear your demo and say, maybe not. Thanks for the free lunch. You know. But if you are able to read at a professional level, or when you can read at a professional level, then you do this. You don't have to have past experience. There's another an unrealistic expectation in this industry from newcomers that the demo has to show things that were paid jobs. I don't believe that a demo has to show paid jobs. I think it's fine to show artificial jobs, things that you record solely for the purpose of a demo. Remember, demo is short for demonstration. The demo is just demonstrating what you can do. So whether you've recorded it on your own for your demo, whether a client paid you for the recording, it's indifferent. They're all examples of what you can do. Here's a demonstration, here's a demo. And so you put together a demo, and if you're trained, then there's no reason why you can't do this. I hate to look at my watch, but I need to see what time it is. Hang on. I have 5 minutes? Oh, great. Awesome. Questions?
After going through those steps and you talk about courting that client and inviting them to lunch, we don't live in the same city, so you and I cannot go.
So, great question. Okay. Could you hear the question?
Yes.
Okay.
We're going to court differently, so.
I should have made point of this, yes. This technique works, the full technique works when the client is nearby, in your proximity, right? If you want to get work from a client who's not nearby you, I would do everything except for the wine and dine. And then what I would do is, well, no, if this is something we've done at Edge Studio. Now check this out. There was a client that we really wanted to get, and we got them, okay? So we called the receptionist, found out their favorite restaurant. We set them up a time to meet over lunch. We had lunch catered for them. It was not a fancy lunch, okay? The term wining and dining, I think it sort of suggests an extravagant meal and fine gifts. And you don't need anything that's super expensive. We had their sandwiches from their favorite shop catered in. We set a half-hour time. They had their lunch and put us on speakerphone in their conference room, like 3 or 4 people. Maybe it cost us $30.
There you go, right.
And we had that half-hour meeting with them. I could have said to them on the phone, can we have a half hour of your time? That's not going to go so well. Or we'll bring in lunch from, Roby's Deli, whatever the name of their restaurant was, I don't remember. We're bringing lunch for you guys and get on your conference call for, 20, 30 minutes. They were all over it.
Right, that's a great one.
So, but, being in person is nice, but not necessary.
Just for some of the corporate stuff, one of the things you might need to look up is what they can accept. It's like if you're going internal, like for e-learning, for example.
Yes.
That's
So when you put together, okay, got it. When you put together your Taylor demo, only use public-facing material. Don't use anything that could be confidential or internal. Does that make sense? Chances are, though, if you find things online, if you call their telephony system and transcribe their information, their public videos, their sales videos, you're fine.
Well, I meant from a gift standpoint too. Some of the a whole bunch
DoD.
of, yeah, like you can't exceed a certain threshold. They can't accept a business gift over a certain value.
Oh, yeah, but you're far from that. Buying them a $20 lunch.
$30,
Yeah. One last question.
I know what you mean about not being everything to everyone, and if you have a specialty like medical or something like that, the word niche is a little overused. Do you have another word you'd recommend?
Specialty, yeah.
Specialty.
Like in the medical industry, a doctor specializes in something. The joke we often say at Edge Studio is, if you needed to hire a chiropractor, and someone over here says, hey, I'm a chiropractor, and on their business card it says chiropractor, heart surgeon, dentist, gynecologist, you would run far from that doctor because they're being everything to everyone. If they said specialize in chiropractic and back surgery and neck spine, something of the sort. If things belong together, that makes a lot of sense. So if you specialize in documentaries and nonfiction audiobooks, they go together. So that's totally fine. Yeah, you don't need to be everything to everyone. Anyway, so I leave you with homework. In 3 months from now, each of you will have one new client that's the client of your choice. It's not because the audition came in from your agent or from an online casting site, but rather, in the next few days, you look around and you say, I'd like that company or this company. I'd like them to become my client. And your voice is the right match for them. You go through these 12 steps, and in 3 months from now, they will be your client. If you do this for 2 clients, I almost guarantee at least one of them will come through for you, possibly both. Like I said, there's about, what I've seen from all the times I've helped voice actors do this, about 75% of the time, it works. That's great odds. Thank you, everyone. Oh.